What's up, guys? Today I'm gonna be going over today's trade, basically why my bias was bullish, basically what was going on through my head throughout the entire trade session today, right? So obviously, actually, let me erase all this shit real quick because um, yeah, it's kind of all right. Let's actually go on replay mode, right? And let's just mark out what we see. So obviously, we have these lows here. We have all this here, all this liquidity above here. All this is liquidity, right? We have this liquidity, that liquidity, but I'm not gonna line that up. Um, but I just know that there's liquidity all the way up here, right? And now we're gonna go on our higher time frames, or we should start off with our higher time frames first. But it's just kind of easier to mark um the areas of liquidity just on the small time frames. Go on the higher time frames and find your support, right? So as of right now, we are actually, if we actually kind of zoom out a little bit, um, market the past month has just been dumping, right? We've just been dumping, right? And then just recently we actually kind of turned around, right? So right here we came up, came down, came up, came down. Right here we had this little tiny downtrend, right? But at the end of the day, if we actually kind of go like on the daily or something, it's just basically another higher low, right? So right now we came up, came down, and now we're coming up again, testing this area one more time, right? And let's go to our hourly, right? So we could assume that we might actually um, kind of sell off all the way to these imbalances, right? But we can't really determine that. We can't really predict market, right? But all we do know is that market is we retrace into imbalances, which is the fair value gaps and order blocks and like breaker blocks and all that other shit, right? And we target liquidity, right? So as of right now, market just kind of open, right? We had this consolidation. If we actually go on the 1 hour, I'm pretty sure we had an hourly fair value gap, which we kind of had the reaction to right here, right? But I'm still really not having like a clear bias, right? I still don't know what market kind of wants to do. I don't know if we want to actually go into those imbalances, right? Or if we want to try taking those highs, right? So I just kind of wait for more structure to form, right? So right there we kind of have, again, we're approaching that 1 hour fair value gap, right? The bearish one. What do we see as of right now? Right now, we see that this bullish fair value gap got inverse, right? Some people would have taken calls here, right? The thing is, you would have been fucked. Why? Because we didn't really have that liquidity sweep, right? And for you to actually take these reversal setups, you want to see that liquidity sweep, right? And also, another confirmation is an SMT, right? So what the fuck is an SMT is when there's like a difference between two correlating assets, or in retard form, two stocks that move the same, right? Here we saw that, where was it? We had these lows on NQ, right, that were formed. We had equal lows on NQ, so we were destined to kind of target those. But yeah, now we came down, right? Have the liquidity sweep. Now we have this bearish fair value gap. We have this bearish fair value gap in which we could actually now look for our possible reversal setup, right? How do I know that the market's going to reverse? Well, as of right now, I kind of really didn't. I just kind of was looking at all these confluences just form, right? Obviously, if you see more bearish confluences than bullish confluences, then your bias is going to be bullish. If you see more bullish confluences than a bearish confluence, then your bias is going to be bullish, right? As of right now, I just kind of see that we're creating some form of SMT, right? We were able to take out this low right here. Actually, let's move up to this low right here. It's the same shit though, right? We were able to take that low on ES, but on NQ we weren't, right? Where was right here? Right. So now we have a bullish SMT and we see that we inverse this fair value gap. We got our liquidity sweep. Now I'm looking at a possible move to the upside, right? So what the fuck could I try looking for right now, right? Well, we have all our confluences, right? And we also have these equal highs, right? And again, what is price attracted to? Equal highs. Well, they're not really so equal, but they're really kind of together, right? And price is always a magnet to equal highs or equal lows, right? So from here, we already got the inverse of a fair value gap. Do we have that little retrace as of right now? No, but we do have these 5-minute fair value gaps where we could possibly retrace, right? And the reason why I kind of entered in light at first was because I was waiting for that retest, right? I was waiting for price to kind of just come back down here and then for us to continue higher, right? Because this setup is going to be valid. This is all going to be your buying area. Your buying area could be here on this bullish fair value gap or here on this other bullish fair value gap, right? But let's just see what price ends up doing. All right, right here, you got tapped in on this bullish 5-minute. And then from here, it actually kind of retraced to this one. This is where I was just kind of like letting it sit around a little bit. I was in a light position and I kind of averaged down like right here a little bit. Um, I entered in at 180 and then I saw contracts at like 160 and then I entered in that. Um, so my average was like around 169 somewhere there, right? And then what are you going to target? Those equal highs, right? Equal highs or basically all the way up here, right? Or if you want, you could also look at other confluences, right? We have this 30-minute, which is aligned with the equal highs, right? You could also target that. So now you're already in the trade. From there, we come up. We could trim a little bit on the way to the top. And then from here, we kind of come down, right? So again, if you're trading options, you could have probably been cooked right here, but since it's like a skill where I kind of just sell a little bit, and then when it comes back down, I kind of add or basically stuff like that, right? Um, I sell a little bit when I'm green, and then add a little bit, add to average down, if that makes sense, right? So I sold when I was green up here. Obviously, I still had like my position, right? But when we came back down, what the fuck were we retesting, right? If we use our fib, right? From here to right here, we were trying to come back to this bullish 5, right? We came back down to that bullish 5. Um, didn't really get tapped in, but honestly, you could have taken the trade regardless, right? Because price moves basically with the fib. And from here, we took it to the 0, right? Then come up to these equal highs. Basically, kind of having that good candle close above those equal highs, and then from there, if you held your runners, it would have been all the way up here, right? But that was basically kind of like today's trade, right? I didn't take that bitch all the way up there, to be honest. That was low-key kind of a move where I was just kind of focused on just kind of getting those averages down and selling a little bit on the way on the top, right? Because we could see we were kind of wicking up and down, wicking up and down. On futures, you would have been chilling, right? But on options, right, it's kind of more like you have to kind of have like this skill where you kind of just have to take some contracts and then kind of wait for it to kind of come down, get that better average, and then wait for you to basically kind of sell a little bit, right? And then once you see volume kind of pick up, that's when you could kind of hold your position for a little bit longer. It's kind of like a little method. Not a lot of people or options traders talk about it because they're kind of sped and slow, right? Um, but yeah, that was basically today's trade and all that, right? We could also see that we had a rejection. We actually had like this um, downside, right? Which if we actually take our fib from down here to up here, and then if we could find that higher time frame support, right? We could see that this bullish fair value gap was actually being held, right? And we had that move up again, right? So it's the same setup, right? Same setup that repeats itself. It's nothing too crazy, right? And you guys are probably wondering why we had that sell off, right? So a lot of you guys were probably like, or I did see on the Discord someone asking like, what if, or like, do you think we're gonna sell off, right? I can't really think what the market might do. I could just kind of just how do I explain it? I could just look for areas of rejection or possible areas of rejection where we could possibly have that sell off, right? So if you were waiting for puts, right, you're gonna have to look for those areas of rejection, right? So if we actually go on the 1 hour, we see that we had this 1 hour order block, right? I had this 1 hour order block all the way here, which if we kind of drag this out, we see that earlier during the aftermarket or pre-market or whatever, we kind of came up and then had that rejection down, right? We came up here, had the rejection down. We just kind of wicked it. We didn't really have like that full move where it kind of took us all the way down here, right? Just kind of wicked it. Same thing right here when we had that bearish 1 hour, right? We were just kind of having the reaction to it, but sooner or later we kind of broke through, right? And I'm pretty sure we kind of broke through on the aftermarket. Not sure, I didn't really check. Let's actually see. No, we're still kind of moving. To basically sum this setup all up, basically, again, liquidity sweep, SMT, inverse of this bearish fair value gap, right? Created that bullish fair value gap, retest, get tapped in, right? Target those highs, and then basically target all these other highs. And again, for you to hold the trade, just keep having these bullish fair value gaps actually just hold your trade. And actually, this is also another strategy, right? We actually break a high with volume, right? Wait for that fair value gap to basically be inserted, and then this is where you could actually kind of get tapped in, right? So wait for that retrace into that fair value gap, right? And then you could also take in a trade like this too, right? This this would have been your scalp trade, right? Something simple, something light, basically all that, right? Now that I'm here, I'm actually going to explain how you were able to catch that sell-off, right? So again, just because we were moving up doesn't mean we can't catch the move to the downside, right? Obviously, what comes up kind of comes down. We, as traders, kind of want to just line up our setups, right? So from here, we were kind of moving up here, right? But we kind of want to come back down here to continue higher, right? Because that's how market moves. Up, down, know the fucking trend, right? All that bullshit, right? If you go on the hourly, again, I mentioned that we can't predict market, but we could look for areas of rejection. Where do we see that area of rejection? We saw it on this order block that we were approaching, right? You could have marked any other order block, but again, though this is how I'm gonna show you guys where the order block might work, right? So again, we had that order block. Now what do? We go on the smaller time frames, right? We have all these tiny 5 minute fair value gaps, right? But we wouldn't really use these to actually kind of inverse, because if we use these to inverse, then we might actually just kind of um, bounce off of them or kind of disrespect them, right? Mainly because how strong the trend is and this and that. We're not going to go off of tiny 5 minute fair value gaps, right? What I like using is the 10 minute fair value gaps to inverse, right? We had this 10 minute right here, right? And again, you're not going to short unless you see the confluence is too short, right? And we could also see if we have an SMT, and if we don't, then it's fine. But it's just extra confluence, which in this sense, we did not have the SMT. Let me see. Nah, we didn't have the SMT. All right. So now we are inside that bearish order block, right? And we have this 10 minute fair value gap. We can inverse. Again, only take the trade if this inverses. And if it doesn't inverse, then you're fucked. You're basically playing an invalid setup, right? So we did get that inverse, right? And we kind of actually did get retapped in, right? All right, so we kind of see that we inversed it. If we go on the smaller time frames, this is a 3 minute, right? Obviously you want to wait for the 10 minute to inverse on the 10 minute, right? But we already got that inverse, right? All we have to kind of do is just go on the smaller time frames to actually get that entry, right? So from here we saw that we got tapped in, get tapped in, right? Set your stop losses, candle close above, right? And then again, target the next low, right? In this case, I would have basically used fib right here to actually find where we could have possibly bounced, right? So again, here we see that we have this 3 minute fair value gap, right? But we're not gonna bounce on a 3 minute, right? We're gonna wanna go on the higher time frame, right? This 15 minute, right? So if we actually kind of see, we were approaching the discount right here, right? So this was actually the pullback down to continue higher, right? You could have caught that too if again that was your trade or if that was your plan or if that's whatever, right? People do that, right? It's fine. You're probably not going to catch the whole move down. And if you wanted to catch the whole move down, you want to see the inverse of this 15-minute and then target these lows right here, right? And you want to see bearish fair value gaps basically be formed on the smaller time frames and get respected, right? So that's the only way you're going to catch the move down, right? From here, we actually kind of reversed because on the 15-minute, we actually held that bitch. We held that bitch right here and then came up higher. But yeah, this basically kind of sums up everything, right? How you were able to catch the move all the way up, right? And then how you were probably able to catch the move again down, right? You could have made money both sides, right? Again, it all depends on the setup you're playing, right? If the setup makes sense, take it. If the setup doesn't make sense, right, then don't take it, right? Setups could also fall into setups, right? Like we saw here, right? We saw that this setup to the downside actually was a setup to the upside, right? And yeah, it's all how market kind of moves, right? Really isn't that hard. You just kind of have to train your eyes a little bit, and yeah. Um, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hope you guys learned something. Bro, my trading view kind of crashed, but hope you guys learned something, and yeah, hope you have a great day.